This episode is sponsored by State Farm. Choices are great. Like with your podcasts, you get to choose what you want to listen to. And State Farm believes insurance should work the same way. That's why the State Farm Personal Price Plan helps you get the coverage you want at an affordable price and a policy that helps cover what you value most. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com today to create your State Farm Personal Price Plan. Prices vary by state. Options selected by customer. Availability and eligibility may vary.
As if the McCrispy couldn't get any better, Bacon and Ranch just entered the chat. The Bacon Ranch McCrispy, available at participating McDonald's for a limited time. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Welcome to the family here on Purple Mafia. I'm your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Wygen. Purple Mafia is available on the sportstuff.com, iTunes, Stitcher, and Double Twist. Wonderful pleasure to be back on board once again today. As well, the Vikings are now 7-2, yet another victory, and I feel better. Yeah, you're not hearing the cracking in my voice. You're not hearing that, the nasally nonsense. Yeah, I feel a lot better now. Cleanups are still in the mix, but hey, we're still doing Purple Mafia, at least as the best we can. Vikings 7-2 today in a very back and forth, crazy-ass kind of a game. Lucky to be recording. I wanted to get Timberwolves Explosion done a couple of days ago when it was too cold to work outside, but, the software had issues and everything. I thought that I just needed to reinstall Audacity, and then... and then apparently I had a virus. This happened last year, actually, where it kept turning the audio, the recording part of the audio off. So some kind of weird virus. Every time you're about to record, bloop, mute. And it's like, this is really weird. And you unmute it, you go back, and then it's mute again. So we're lucky to have Purple Mafia back. We have Malware Bytes to thank for that. It dug up 5 viruses off my computer. And back and ready to roll again. This actually did happen about a year ago, believe it or not. I just didn't tell anybody because it's a deep, dark secret. Let's get back to the game. Case Keenum was good, and then there were a couple of viruses in the third quarter, but luckily the Vikings hang on. Third quarter, second half, the early fourth, all that. Well, interesting game. Case Keenum looks like he wants this job. He really does, especially the way he was going in the first half anyway, particularly, and into the third quarter. Just spectacular overall. Game for Keenum until the interceptions came around. A lot of us scared going into this one. The Vikings' success rate in Washington has been pretty porous for the most part. Of course, you win games when you're trying to lose. Well, maybe they're not trying to lose, but the fans are hoping they might because maybe you want a higher draft pick. So we win games like that, and you have your star running back at the time go down to the ACL in that same game. Remember that back in 2011? The glory days of Leslie Frazier? You know, a guy who's known for his defense, yet the defense was horrendous the whole time he was here. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, well, bottom line, the Vikings win 38-30. They're 7-2, first place in the NFC North, blah, 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 blah. We'll talk about the other teams in the NFC North very shortly. This game was scary coming in. You saw defense that wasn't that great. You saw Washington offense that is great, an outstanding offense. Kirk Cousins, Maurice Harris just picked up back off the practice squad and made a spectacular catch. At first it was ruled not a touchdown, then it was. Just reached out as he's falling, pulled it in, stayed in bounds. Wow. The play of the year pretty much, at least for the Washington Redskins. Well, for a lot of teams. It's one of those can't miss plays. It was awesome. Congratulations to Maurice Harris. Definitely not a huge blemish on our favorite cornerback, Trey Waynes, who usually leads the team in tackles because they're always throwing his direction because nobody wants to throw to the oft beat up, the oft nicked up Xavier Rhodes. You don't want to say oft injured, but it seems like he's oft hurt. He's always kind of coming off the field because there's something going on, but Xavier Rhodes spectacular for the most part once again. Trey Waynes, it's like, I don't know, I almost crack up when I talk about him not in a bad way, but in like you just hope for the best type of thing. But, I thought he was okay today. He got beat a little bit, but, He's been a lot worse. He was solid. You saw a lot of playing time for a lot of the secondary today. Happy birthday to one of my favorite guys, Mackenzie Alexander. Well, at least I'd like to believe he is. He had 3 tackles in the game today. Was good defensive, and he got his first NFL interception. Remember, he didn't get any in college because they never threw it to him. Just like Xavier Rhodes this year, they're not throwing his way, so he's not getting interceptions. Where last year he got like 5, didn't he? So Xavier Rhodes has been spectacular. He's been shutting down a whole side of the field, and that's been awesome throughout the season, without a doubt. It did kind of have the feeling of a shootout type of game, and I came in thinking that the Vikings would want to establish the run early, and, well, they tried to, and it didn't work out so good. Ultimately, Latavius Murray would be the first player in the end zone for the Vikings, so good for us. Both teams scoring on their first drives. Both quarterbacks, though, very aggressive early. Case Keenum hitting Stephon Diggs down the field almost immediately on a spectacular play, 50, just way down the field. He wound up with 78 yards, but this was the 51-yard play, setting things up right out of the gate here pretty much, putting the Vikings in great position, and ultimately got the Vikings where they wanted to be, to the goal line, to the red zone, and of course we tie the game up, and then it just kind of, you get the back and forth effect for a little while. As you know, both teams were punting. The Vikings offense was sputtering a tiny, tiny bit. And then the floodgates came through, and things would change dramatically as Case Keenum would get aggressive, continuing down the stretch. Hitting Adam Thielen about 100 times, it felt like, down the field. There were some plays later on in the game. Thielen could have easily had over 200 yards in the game. Stephon Diggs, hard to believe he only wound up with 78. On his touchdown, though, after that, he was, of course, jumping into the freaking stanchion. I don't know why he did that. Of course, penalty on him, and everybody annoyed with it. The announcers annoyed with it. Even on the radio side, you heard our good friend Greg Coleman say the same thing, like, wow, that was a very selfish play. I want to take him to the woodshed. You're listening during halftime, of course, with that one. Case Keenum would really, really carry this team along the way for the first 3 quarters or so. Ultimately, you feel like and I'm sorry, I keep saying ultimately, and I don't know why. Just too excited, I guess. But this is a guy who really wants to stay a starter. Was very touching to see Teddy Bridgewater tearing up after the national anthem. So happy to be back, a part of the team again, and literally, just activated again, and that's awesome. But Keenum doing the best he can to say, I want to keep this job. Of course, it's a contract year, too, for Case Keenum. He is going to get a significant raise, either from the Vikings as the backup quarterback, maybe even as a temporary starter. I doubt it, though. I think Teddy Bridgewater ultimately will be the starting quarterback again for this team. That's just my guess. I kind of believe it. Well, it's all wait and see thing. Sam Bradford, of course, put on IR. A lot of us not expecting him to return as a Viking quarterback again. Maybe he'll get another crack somewhere else. Mr. Mike Zimmer also during the week said that it's not bone on bone for Sam Bradford, so maybe he will play again, but probably not here. But Case Keenum definitely making a case, pun not intended, to get a significant pay increase in the offseason. There's no doubt about it that he's going to get one. Pretty much bargain basement in the NFL terms. $1.3 million for Case Keenum for only 1 year. And at the time you saw him, he's just a mediocre backup quarterback, but he did play a lot of games for the Los Angeles Rams. Yes, before they got good. Before Jared Goff started figuring things out, Case Keenum was pretty solid at times. Of course, Goff hurt a bit last year, too. Case Keenum got extensive playing time last year, and he was okay. Ended up getting a job here, and now he's really making the most of it and starting to see a little bit of that Houston Case Keenum, the guy that, believe it or not, was not drafted. Still can't believe that. And I kept thinking that, too. As you're watching this and you're seeing Case Keenum be the gunslinger he is. He is a gunslinger, without a doubt. You're seeing him really show what he can do out there. You're just amazed. You figure if Christian Ponder can go in the first round, you would think the Vikings could have taken Case Keenum in the second or third round at some point during the draft when he was available. Yet ultimately he wasn't drafted by anybody, and it's just amazing when you consider that. You just sit down and think for a minute, and just look at the big picture. Christian Ponder, no special skills. Case Keenum, there are special skills. He's not a franchise quarterback to me, but then again, at times he is. The interceptions later on, though, told me that he's not a franchise quarterback. And you want to go back and forth with this. Right now, when you add everything together, 11 touchdowns and 5 interceptions on the season. Spectacular numbers today, almost 2,000 yards in 8 games. So he's on pace for 4,000 yards and, about 23, 24 touchdowns, depending on how things go, because it's not exactly a half season for him, because Bradford did get a game and a half along the way. So he's on pace for 20-some touchdowns. Still, though, you're seeing the gunslinger. You're seeing the special skills with the deep pass. He does have a deep ball, and he's accurate up close, that type of thing. Sometimes he's a little bit inaccurate, and the decision-making is questionable. But, geez, the guy absolutely should have been drafted. When you look at the garbage that gets drafted, including Christian Ponder, who isn't even in the NFL right now. So many quarterbacks get drafted high. The blue chip bust, you could go on forever. And you look at Case Keenum, and it's like, geez, you just keep coming back. This guy wasn't drafted. Huh. And yes, it took a while for him to get this good in the NFL level, pardon me. But still, obviously there are special skills there. But you still come back and say, Teddy Bridgewater has special skills, because he does. Extremely accurate. And he was held back by a conservative style offense in his first 2 years. Not that they were making a bad decision. They were trying to kind of give him the baby steps forward type of approach. Whereas, again, coming into last season, Teddy Bridgewater, the talk is that they would have turned him loose. They would have given him more of the green light. And Teddy more than likely will get the green light. And, of course, you have a more Teddy Bridgewater-friendly type of offense coming around. And you are seeing deep passes from Pat Shurmur's offense with Case Keenum in there. And you'll see a bit of that, I think, from Teddy as well. It's not going to be as conservative as it was under Norv Turner. Yet at the same time, there will be plays that will give the quarterback time to get rid of the ball quicker. It's set up so the quarterback will get rid of the ball quicker, regardless of how good the offensive line is. And you come back to the offensive line again at the end of the day, for better or worse. And it has been for better. Right now, you sit down and you try to think about who's the most valuable player for this team this season. Is it Adam Thielen, who's been spectacular? Is it Stephon Diggs? Probably not, because he's oft injured, and it just drives you crazy. And then he gets a little too full of himself sometimes with the celebrations. You might want to watch it. The leapfrog thing is a little bit interesting. The duck, duck, duck thing is interesting. And Adam Thielen seems like a kind of a quiet guy, but on the field he's kind of interesting. It's kind of fun to watch. But it's like, an Everson Griffin. He's like he might be defensive player of the year. And even he wasn't available today. The Vikings still, good enough defensively. Not the best game they've ever had, but good enough, I guess, at the end of the day, because the offense was downright spectacular. But you come back, who really is the MVP of this team? And it's like, you look at it, you sit down, you think, and, it just might be Riley Reif. Yeah. Yep, you heard that, and yeah, right now, if I were to sit down and give a big, juicy Purple Mafia MVP award for the season, I think it's him, because look at the difference this is making. You'd say Case Keenum for this and that, but then you have these horse bleep games like in Pittsburgh, and in moments, the couple interceptions today were horse crap, especially the second one. What the hell was that? But even the first one he threw late in the third quarter, it's just kind of left you like, what? Did he really try to force that? Why? Why were you trying to force that? You put the Vikings up 35-7, and after making deep passes down the field, you get a nice little screen pass to Jarius Wright, who I just adore that guy. And he deserves to be on the field, without a doubt. He's not this can't-miss stud, but he deserves to be on the field. Obviously, Adam Thielen earned his position, like what, say Jarius Wright would be the main slot guy. Adam Thielen has earned top snaps in this league. And I'm going to talk about his gloves too, because I think they're helping a lot. And it's not just because they look kind of cool or they're this or that. They're bright. I'll get back to that in a second. But I do think Jarius Wright does deserve to play. You put the Vikings up 35-17, then you start making dumb plays. Anderson Dejo, who, again, he's much maligned for this and that because he's so mediocre, but then he makes a spectacular play, knocking the ball out of Crowder's hands, who also had a touchdown along the way. Surprise, surprise. Knocks the ball out of the guy's hands, though, and they have to settle for a chip shot field goal, and that really helps the Vikings there. It keeps them up 35-20, but of course things would continue in a negative direction thanks to Keenum's stupid couple passes there, back-to-back interceptions again, which leave you just stunned. Like, did this really happen, or what the bleep was this? Luckily, the Vikings would force a turnover, save the day along the way, force a fumble, but geez, I mean, Case Keenum's interception, though, was just stupid. And that, again, makes you think of, well, you know, that's the difference between Case Keenum, even though he has special skills, and a Teddy Bridgewater potentially could be that franchise quarterback. Keenum right now, you got to go with the horse that brung you for now. But again, if you continue to see stupid plays like that, I got to think number 5's got to start warming up on the sidelines. And I don't know, if this game could have stayed a blowout, maybe Teddy could have got his feet wet a little bit. Maybe got a little of those jitters out of him today. That would have been nice, but unfortunately the Vikings didn't stay ahead, thanks to some of the poor decision making, and not the best defense of all time down the stretch, but I think it's more the poor decision making on those 2 interceptions. I mean, that put the freaking Redskins right back in the game, and it was quite heartbreaking. Some of the calls along the way, not the best. I mean, but of course, you're not going to get every call. The Redskins didn't get every call they may have wanted either. The goal line touchdown for Kirk Cousins, well, you know what? It was a touchdown. Whatever. You know, and it's close enough, that type of thing. Kai Forbath making a 53-yarder was just cold-blooded and awesome, and that would end up being the dagger, thank God, because I put the Vikings up by 11. I love Kai Forbath. I really do. I mean, the guy makes his kicks. It's just the doggone extra points that drive you absolutely nuts, but he made them today. Kai Forbath is absolutely very deserving of an NFL job long term. I like Kai Forbath very much. Just keep making those extra points, and luckily he's a little over 50% now because he made them all today, and he was tested quite a bit with the extra points along the way today, as was Nick Rose, who made everything today as well. He was not the full-time kicker this season for the Washington Redskins, and he's making the most of his job along the way, as did the young man at the beginning of the game. That was Maurice Harris. Made that great play at the very beginning. Awesome play. Nice to see David Morgan get his first NFL touchdown also. First NFL touchdown for David Morgan. First interception for Mackenzie Alexander. And that was wonderful. You know, in those tight plays in the red zone, I think those golden gloves for Adam Thielen help. I mean, it's a target. And I do think that's the mentality. Maybe he's already said it a million times, but I mean, I'm interpreting that way, as regardless if he's saying it or not. Those gold gloves by Adam Thielen, they're a target. And I think it's nice. It's a target because the defense isn't going to need to, it doesn't really create a target for the defense as much as it does for the guy throwing the ball, the quarterback. They're like markers, like say a doctor needing markers when they're putting something in a human body, like a implant device, whatever it is. You need markers so they know where the damn thing is when it's inside the artery or this or that. So, and I know it's not important, but you are trying to make a surgical pass sometimes through the defense. And when you have markers, this hand is here, that hand is there, and you throw it in between those markers, well, there you go. And I think that's kind of partially what's going on with the gloves, obviously, and I think it's cool. I think it's smart. You don't hear it talked about ever. So I don't know. That just kind of came to my head today. Maybe it has nothing to do with anything, but I see it that way, and I think it's helpful. That might sound goofy, but I think it is helpful. Regardless if a quarterback has the vision of a freaking eagle anyway, and it doesn't need to be a problem, but maybe not every quarterback does. With that said, nice win for the Vikings, I guess. You end up screwing around, almost giving it away for a little while there, and I don't know how you do that. I mean, like Gopher Hockey this weekend, they gave up a 3-goal lead and they gave up a 4-goal lead. Like, how do you do that? Luckily, the Gophers hung on and won in the shootout after giving up a 4-0 lead to the Michigan Wolverines on the road. Road game or not, I mean, you don't give up 4-goal leads. You just don't do that. That's ridiculous, man. And that's what this game made me think of today. The Vikings almost giving up that big of a lead, 35-17. You just don't do that. You just don't do that. You got to close them out. I know watching his offense is awesome, and it really is. But I mean, obviously their defense is beatable, and obviously the damage had already been done. So just like don't make off-balance throws into coverage, trying to force a play to Kyle Rudolph. I mean, what was that? And the second one, I don't even understand. That's the kind of mistake you make when you're like young, like a kid. What are you doing? I mean, he threw it right into the. I mean, you see where the cornerback is. He didn't have to make much of a move to interrupt that passing lane. I mean, Lord, that was. Those were a couple of horse crap plays, but aside of that, he had an awesome game. Did Mr. Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, right? Swearinger, yep, that was the guy who got the interceptions. But other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, wonderful play today by Mr. Case Keenum. Overall, fun game to watch. Fun way to kind of take over and continue to hold on to the division lead. Interesting to see a certain team finally win their first game without a certain quarterback. We'll talk about that in the second segment. Maybe kind of a weird game review today, but it's to be expected. I'm kind of in a weird mood. I feel odd. But I mean, I'm always in a weird mood, but I'm in a different weird mood. I'm in a different weird mood every time I do this show, I think. Pardon me if it seems that way. Laquan Treadwell, same old story. He didn't even get a catch today. He was thrown to once, and, well, running game didn't get established too much today, but it was okay. And Latavius Murray ended up leading the Vikings on the ground, and that was okay. He had an overall solid, consistent day on the ground, and he helped run the clock late. Thank God. Jerick McKinnon, not his best game, but not his worst game. I mean, I don't know. Latavius Murray looked like a starting running back today, and I very much appreciated. Literally 4 yards a carry along the way, 68 yards, and of course did get in the end zone when needed on the goal line early in the game, and it helped get this offense going in the right direction, and really appreciate what Latavius Murray has brought to this club this season. Kai Forbath made everything today. 5 extra points and that 53-yarder. Love what Kai Forbath brought. Nick Rose also for your fantasy footballers out there. Didn't miss anything either. 12 official points for that son of a gun. 3 field goals, including a 55-yarder, which was a career high for the young guy. Just getting started there. God bless him. Hoping for the best there. Of course, Mr. Kirk Cousins did not have his best game today. He threw an interception. Again, like I said 1,000 times already to Alexander. It was just it wasn't a smart pass either. Just overthrew it. Not the best thing you ever saw. He had only 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Quarterback rating 78.7. Case Keenum's quarterback rating was perfect until those interceptions wound up with 117. 304 official yards. The 72%, well, almost 73 completion percentage. Again, 4 touchdowns, career high. 2 interceptions. Well, luckily that's not a career high, but still annoying a little bit. Helped get the Redskins back in the game. I'm rehashing things already. So let's get to the end here. Let's get to the awards. The Fran Tarkington Award for today. It was Case Keenum with a bullet, and it was. I'm going to give it to Adam Thielen. I mean, it's Case Keenum, and then it's not Case Keenum. It's, and it's definitely not going to be Stephon Diggs. That stupid penalty, which gave the Redskins good field position. Like, don't do that. I know you're happy you got your touchdown, but there was no point to do that. You weren't helping anybody at all on the planet by doing that. Just don't do it. Just stop, please.
Stop it! Stop it!
Thank you, Michael Savage. Yes, I agree. Michael Savage, Savage Nation. And if you don't like it, too bad, right? Adam Thielen, 166 yards, 8 catches, targeted 12 times. Some of the passes not the best ever along the way. Some of them throwaways, or one of them was catchable and he dropped it. That was heartbreaking, but, Keenum should have been the Tarkington Award winner today, but it's going to go to Thielen. He was just beautiful, was awesome along the way. The Christian Ponder Memorial, those 2 passes by Keenum are Christian Ponder-like, I guess. And the penalty by Diggs is Christian Ponder-like. So I'm going to give the awards to those 2 guys in that sense. Now, they had great games today. But just those 3 plays. The 2 interceptions by Keenum and the Diggs penalty. That's the Christian Ponder Memorial. It's not going to go to an individual player. It's going to go to 3 individual plays by 2 guys. Damn it. Don't do that. Vikings offensive line gets a huge hand. I mean, Remember last year when Sam Bradford got the live and bleep kicked out of him and he fumbled down the stretch? He had to throw the ball away on the final play of the game. We were cursing our heads off at the TV. We wanted to throw bricks at the television last year in that freaking game. Hard to believe we're right back in Washington again this year. Different president this time. Wink, wink. And just look at the difference. No sacks. Zip. Zilch. Not even one sack. I mean, offensive line. No sacks. No sacks given up by the offensive line today. Wow. I mean, that is awesome. I mean, what a difference. What a difference, man. I mean, it's not even close. So huge honorable mention to all of you, Riley Reef and others. Riley Reef, though, MVP of the team so far because of just look at the difference for this club this year. You don't get this feeling like the quarterback's going to get killed. You get the feeling like the quarterback's going to get protected. I mean, and not every game is going to be perfect or going to be great. But you have a chance. And the Vikings are a legitimate 7-2. We're not sitting here 5-5, hoping to still survive, that type of thing. 5-game win streak, just like last year's season opener. Now we're getting it going at this stage. So there it is. You get it. I'm taking this long. Let's get to segment number 2, NFC North, a little bit of NFL, and, of course, previewing the following week. And we are back here on Purple Mafia, segment number 2. We're going to look at things and preview the Los Angeles Rams coming to U.S. Bank Stadium for the first time as the Los Angeles Rams, and a very different version of the Los Angeles Rams compared to even Case Keenum's club last year. Similar players and everything, but oh boy, just a little more dangerous, just a little bit. Yeah, I wouldn't have been too afraid of Case Keenum last season, but yeah, I don't know, maybe they'll be afraid of him now. That's going to be interesting. Parallels going on with that one. Yeah, let's look at the playoff picture, just for a moment here. And the AFC, pardon me, at the moment, the Pittsburgh bleeping NFL's weird. Would be number 1 in the AFC right now, 7-2. New England 6-2. They're just getting on the field to play a team they played in the AFC title game about 3 times the last 5 years or so. They are in Denver, which is usually a loss for the Patriots, at least in the playoffs it was, damn it, which pissed me off because we all know how I feel about the Patriots. I like them, and I don't know. And we know about how Mr. Gerald String, just awesome guy from Nebraska, good friend, met from here on Purple Mafia. I mean, this show has brought me some amazing people. I mean, I could name you guys a million times, and it wouldn't give you justice. Just amazing people. Some fine patriots that love this country, just love you guys. That's his second favorite team. He calls them the Donkeys because it's just a nickname. And the Patriots, the Pats, whatever you want to call them, that's my second favorite team. And no, we're not sitting here buying merchandise for these clubs and like we spend like half of our Sunday watching that team. Not necessarily. It's just, you just have a team, and particularly in the other conference, that type of thing, and you hope you never have to meet them in the Super Bowl, and then the relationship will be over very quickly. Like I used to like the New Orleans Saints. Like, think about that one. Wrap your head around that. Can you imagine me liking the Saints? I used to like them a lot. Yeah, the Saints. I hate the frickin' Saints so much, you won't even know why. You do know why, but you won't understand just how much I hate them. Ugh. But then again, maybe you would after watching the NFC title game in 2009. Pittsburgh Steelers to the point. Number 1 in the AFC. Number 2, the Patriots. They win tonight. Well, they're 7-2, also in good shape. Let's move on. Wildcard game would be hosted by the Chiefs. They're the top wildcard team. Number 3, they would host the Buffalo Bills. The Jacksonville Jaguars would go on the road to Tennessee. Very cool to see the Jaguars in the playoff picture. Tennessee in the playoff picture. Just kind of hanging on to their division lead at the moment at 6-3. The Chiefs, how the mighty, have, not completely fallen, but they're not as good as they were. Let's keep moving. Monday night football, Carolina and Miami. Carolina is kind of dangerous right now in the NFC. We'll look at that playoff picture now. Might as well. Just look at it now. Philadelphia, number 1, 8-1. They're rolling. Vikings, 7-2. New Orleans Saints. The Vikings right now do have the bye because, we beat the Saints in the season opener, so good. Maybe this time if there's a NFC title game with the Vikings and Saints, yeah, we would get revenge. But then again, at the moment, if we were to play the Saints in the playoffs, it would be in the second round. And I hope the Vikings would take them out. That would be very useful. The Saints would host the Carolina Hurricanes. No, the Carolina Panthers, believe it or not. And Seattle would go on the road to Los Angeles, which I think the Rams would win, and the Saints probably would beat Carolina, so that means the Saints would be coming to Minnesota, and the Rams would be visiting Philadelphia. Cool. Well, okay, let's get on with it. Okay, the Saints just, wow. Seattle on Thursday crushed Arizona. And, they didn't crush them. They barely beat them. And a certain guy who talks too much, has a big mouth. Well, I'm not Mr. Karma's a bitch, all that kind of stuff. But, I don't know. He tore his Achilles tendon. Let's just leave it at that. I'm not going to say much else necessarily. I'm not rooting for somebody's injury, but I'm certainly not rooting for the Seattle Seahawks' success either. I don't like Richard Sherman at all. He talks too much. I think he's just an ass. And I think a lot of NFL players today are an ass. You can fill in the blank as to why. You can fill in the blank as to why the ratings have been down, the attendance has been down, this and that. And, yeah, you fill in the blank as to why. And it's a lot of this bitter attitude that just I don't think is good. I don't think it's good for anything. Don't bring a bitter attitude to anything. And, yeah, I don't know. I'll leave it. You get the point. You can read between the lines there. Disagree if you want. That's fine. New Orleans Saints crushed Buffalo 47-10. Jeez. Buffalo is a decent team. They'd be a playoff team, and they hosted the Saints. 47-10. Yeah, they hosted the Saints 47-10. Okay. I'm a little worried about the Saints right now. Just a little. We'll leave the Cleveland, Detroit, and, of course, Chicago and Green Bay games alone for the moment. Tennessee beat Cincinnati just barely. Tennessee's kind of in trouble because of, Mariota's not been playing. So their playoff hopes may soon fall off the face of the earth. Pardon me with the chair making noise. That's a no-no on radio, but I guess I made noise. DeMarco Murray's still good. Joe Mixon and all that. We'll be talking about Joe Mixon at some point down the road, and the Vikings do play the Cincinnati Bengals. And Mariota did come back today, but was not very good against a decent Cincinnati defense. Blah, blah, blah. Tennessee's still hanging on to their AFC South division lead at the moment. Cincinnati's playoff hopes fading fast and whatever. Will they finally fire Mr. Marvin Lewis? I don't know. If they do, they do. If they don't, they don't, I guess. We're at that kind of point right now. And I don't know. I wouldn't want to be a Bengals fan. That team can't win a playoff game for their life. Pittsburgh just barely beat the Colts today. Just barely. And yet they're the number one seed in the AFC. I don't know. They're not that good. Pittsburgh is not going to go to the Super Bowl. And if they do, I hope the Vikings get revenge on the Week 2 game. If the Vikings are there, that would be great. I don't know. Pittsburgh just... Andrew Luck hasn't been playing all season, and they barely beat him. It's just whatever. Jacoby Brissett is better than what they've had before, sure, but he's not that good. Yeah, and there's another team that's got a guy out for the season, too. We'll talk about that in a second. Of course, during the bye week, things happened. Rodney Adams was released, but luckily the Vikings were able to get him back on the practice squad. So, 5th-round pick down to the practice squad. Ouch. And Willie Beavers is coming back also. That's kind of funny. That is kind of funny. Willie Beavers from the New England Patriots. How about that? Bronson Hill's another guy who they actually let him go. So a couple of transactions during the week. So yeah, but Rodney Adams is a notable though, getting because he's just been a complete non-factor. Stacey Coley at least somewhat factors in. But we'll continue here. The Tampa Bay Bucks 15, the New York Jets 10. Need I say more? No. Just neither one is going to make it. They both stink right now. Tampa Bay is going to win the AFC this year, though, right? Right? Tampa Bay is going to win the NFC. They're going to win it. Not. Jacksonville 20-17 over the Chargers in overtime. Wow. Good thing they don't award points like they do in hockey because, but then again, I guess the Chargers, they maybe they deserved it hanging in there with the improved Los Angeles Chargers team. Houston Texans only managed 7 points against the Los Angeles Rams because, Tom Savage is quarterback again because a guy by the name of Deshaun Watson out for the season, ACL in practice. We're talking about practice, man. Not a game. Not a game. We're talking about practice. And I'm not trying to be funny. It's just not a game. We're talking about practice. Kind of like poor Teddy. Thank God he's back active in uniform again. Deshaun Watson, they expect a full recovery, this and that. I don't think it's as devastating as Teddy's injury, because very few are. But still, sad, because Houston was doing okay. There was a chance, and now, I mean, what's up with all these young stars getting hurt, like, before they barely get their feet wet? I mean, freaking Dalvin Cook. Do you remember Dalvin Cook was the starting running back for the Vikings this year? I mean, we barely remember him because of how quick it happened, and he was so freaking promising, and you keep coming back and thinking about, as good as we are with Latavius Murray and Jerick McKinnon, McKinnon's got that quirkiness who can just bust one loose, and Murray's just rock solid. But then you had Dalvin Cook. I mean, you had Dalvin bleeping Cook, who might have led the NFL in rushing as a rookie. I mean, he was that good. I mean, he was just amazing. And in total yards, he might have been the guy. I mean, the receiving and rushing. Out for the season, ACL. Yes, it's old news now, but, man. And the team we're going to play next week, well, we'll come back to that in a moment. That's supposed to be the last one. They look freaking amazing, and yeah. But Houston hasn't been amazing because Watt's out for the year with that back situation, and of course the ACL for Watson. Watt and Watson. Yep. Atlanta not looking well. Atlanta does look good. Dallas doesn't. 27-7. This has little NFC implications. Neither one of them in the playoffs at the moment, but Atlanta's right back in the mix. Believe it or not, I mean, it's hard to believe Dallas is only 5-4. This could have been a huge thing right now. That this may have been the NFC title game last year. A lot of people probably thought it was going to be. Atlanta taking care of business. They're 5-4, so they're back about 500, and Dallas is thrown down to 5-4. Atlanta obviously would have the tiebreaker because they just beat them. Tough loss for Dallas, 27-7. That's a good old-fashioned ass-kicking, and Dallas clearly not the same team they were last year, and if the Vikings played them in the playoffs, Vikings would win. I mean, Dallas' defense isn't impressing anybody, and Dak Prescott has come back to earth in a big way. No touchdowns, no interceptions, just very average, and he fumbled the ball twice. Matt Ryan is good, not as good as last year, that type of thing. Both of these teams, I think the Vikings could beat them. I mean, Atlanta's defense has not been good. Their offense is dangerous, but whatever. We'll just kind of let that thing go as is at this point. Significant win, though, putting Dallas down there. San Francisco won their first game, and everybody picked this, actually. San Francisco over New York. Congratulations to the San Francisco 49ers. And yes, there was one other major notable that took place during the bye week. Mr. Garoppolo, that's right, Garoppolo is now a quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, and he did not even play today because he's not ready. C.J. Beathard had a great game, believe it or not. He got almost 300 yards. He threw an interception, shocker, but quarterback rating 123.4, two touchdowns, pardon me. Eli Manning, good numbers and all, but the defense stinks and didn't get the job done, and guys were not healthy, this and that. Obviously, it doesn't help having Beckham out for the season, just another guy out for the year. So San Francisco with their first win of the season. Congratulations, 31-21. 49ers right now would pick second in the draft. Cleveland will remain at the top of the draft as they lost to Detroit today. They led all the way into the fourth quarter, kind of like how they scared the Vikings a little bit, and then the Detroit Lions pulled away, just like the Vikings did last week, or 2 weeks ago in Breachin. Yes, and we will hear the return of Matt Martin's Mad Takes to open up segment number 3. Can't wait to hear that. Love that guy. Cleveland is down to 0-9. 0-9. They're trying to be 0-16, and they were beat by the last team that went 0-16. In fact, the only team. Bucks went 0-14 in the 70s in their opening season. Horrible start to their franchise, and they stayed awful forever until the late 90s when a guy by the name of, never heard of him, Tony Dungy. Some guy named Tony Dungy. I heard he played for the Gophers at one point. Whoever that is, right? Well, yeah, he kind of took over that team and did a hell of a job, and yeah, whatever. I hate the Bucks, but I guess I kind of like them now a little bit. Freaking Matthew Stafford. Damn it. Cleveland was winning this game, and Matthew Stafford said, I got to throw 3 touchdown passes because I haven't thrown it yet, and he did, and the freaking Detroit Lions win the game 38-24. 38-24. Classic Cleveland. Just let it go pretty much. 3 touchdown passes for Mr. Matthew Stafford in the final 16 minutes or so of the game. Yeah, well, they didn't happen in the final 16 minutes, but it was during that time. They happened in the final 12, or they happened in about a 12-minute span there. Damn it. Detroit just dominant during a 12-minute span after just screwing around, just doing nothing. But, well, final score is what matters most, and boy, it mattered all right. Frickin' Detroit. Well, they're still alive. Staying alive, because Green Bay couldn't get the job done last week. You kind of wish they did. But now they got the job done this week over the Bears. 5-4 Detroit. Still 2 games behind. So, got to win that frickin' Thanksgiving game, though. That's all I got to say there. Yeah, the Packers. God, the Packers got their first win without Airhead Rodgers. And I got to say this. I'm going to say something just like Jerry Burns would say. You know, the they're 5-4. Damn, that's kind of weird when you think about it. They beat the Bears. They're down to 3-6, 23-16. Frickin' Mr. Brett Hundley with his first win as the Packers quarterback. He threw a touchdown pass, believe it or not, right? He was adequate in the game. Jamal Williams, that's a familiar name. 67 yards on the ground, good for him. Devontae Adams, very good in the game, 90 yards. And they helped beat that Bears defense, which was a little bit better. But, not good enough today. It had been better. But the Bears offense overall, just nothing spectacular. But Mitchell Trubisky did manage to get 300 yards, if you can believe that. Just under 300, 297. But luckily no turnovers either. So kind of nice to see the 2 young guys do a fairly good job today. Neither one of them had a turnover. So good on them. Green Bay defense slightly better than Chicago's today, and that's about it. But I'm going to say something about Aaron Rodgers quick. It's like you look at the generational differences and all that. Like, say, a Joe Montana, right? Like how certain quarterbacks, there's this ego and this and that. This guy probably has an ego. That one has an ego, this and that. Joe Montana, though, I mean, did you ever really was he really ever like an egotistical guy that you hated? Or was he just good and you didn't like to see them win all the time, the 49ers? I mean, he would lighten up the mood. He kept his team kind of smiling, laughing, chuckling about stuff, like looking at the big heavy-set guy in the stands, this and that. And then you get guys like Aaron Rodgers. Every time a guy drops a pass or this or that, he has them on eggshells because he gives them a huge attitude. He calls them out. He throws them under the bus. Who would you rather play for? They're both great quarterbacks. They've both got a ring at least. Joe's got only 3 more than Aaron, but it's just still. Aaron Rodgers could have been the 49ers quarterback. So this is nothing because he's just a Green Bay quarterback, so I have a childish little rant on the guy. But no, it's like you sit down and think about this for a minute, and it's just something that kind of came in my head. There's a reason it's not like necessarily the reason why Green Bay only has 1 Super Bowl, but I can't imagine it helps the cause. There's a reason why certain guys might drop a pass here and there at the last second or this or that or blow this play or this or that because the guy has them on eggshells. Joe Montana was so laid back and friendly to his team. Aaron Rodgers has guys walking on eggshells at times. I mean, the guy is such an all-time jerk. He really is. Regardless of what team, he could be the Patriots quarterback, and I'd still call him that because he just is. Brady isn't like that. Maybe a little bit once in a while, but he's not a guy who just calls his teammates out and throws them under the bus, where Rodgers has always been that way. So, okay. At least he embarrasses them, and makes it obvious that he's, like, giving them a hard time. Okay, rant over, whatever. I don't need to go on it too much. I know, I just had to say it. But Green Bay, congratulations on their win, I guess. Damn it, they're 5-4, which is kind of funny in case that jackass comes back just in time to get them back in position. Let's talk about the Los Angeles Rams. I've been ranting and raving about them all season. They're really good. I mean, they're really good. Their defense is good. Their offense is good. They pounded the Houston Texans into submission today, 33-7. I mean, this is the kind of score you've been seeing from the Rams all season. They're just, they're remarkable, aren't they? I mean, they're really something. Jeez. Jared Goff completes passes, 125 quarterback rating today. Just unbelievable. Tom Savage was mediocre at best, threw a couple interceptions and fumbled the ball twice. The Rams forcing turnovers, 4 turnovers in Tom Savage today. Todd Gurley, I remember he was a threat coming in a couple of years ago when the Vikings played I believe they were still St. Louis. It was their final year in St. Louis, if I remember correctly. last year. I think so, or 2 years ago, pardon me. Gurley's a multi-threat. He had a crappy season last year, but kind of everybody did for the Rams. Gurley, overall, man, the guy's something. He really is. Second in receiving today, and then rushing 68 yards, receiving 68 yards. So an overall funny day. Funny numbers there when you put it together. Didn't get in the end zone, did Todd Gurley, but it definitely led the way in offensive numbers in that sense. Robert Woods is a guy to worry about. 171 yards. Adam Thielen-like numbers, right? 2 touchdowns for Robert Woods, Bob Woods, whatever you want to call him. Good players all over this Rams team. Just impressive, all the way impressive. Woods, like not a spectacular player necessarily, but he had a great game today. He's never actually broke the 1,000-yard mark, if you can believe that, but still, I mean, a big game today. Hopefully the Vikings don't have to worry about it too much. Sammy Watkins is a name you got to worry about a little bit more, I got to think, than that. Todd Gurley, again, overall guy. He's got about 700, well, he's got more than that. He's got over 700 yards on the ground now. A couple of years ago was really good as a rookie. Receiving yards, well, he's already reached a career high this year. But of course, before that, didn't have much going on because Keenum, I mean, just the whole vibe of the team. Keenum wasn't as good, but the guys around him weren't as good either at the time. This year, just a totally different vibe. And of course, the defense is awesome for the Los Angeles Rams. Overall, the 9th best defense in the NFL. The Vikings are actually 3rd in yards a game. The Rams 9th in yards allowed total. The rush defense, they allow 121 a game. The pass defense, 205. So kind of, they're all in the top 10 range defensively are the Los Angeles Rams. They're not in the top 5 or anything necessarily, but they've certainly held their own for the most part defensively during the season. That's, well, impressive. It really is, to be quite honest. And they get the turnovers. That's a huge thing, of course. If you're going to be playing the Rams at some point, they have 10 interceptions on the season. That's a big deal. Forced fumbles, yeah, they're freaking 5th in the league. So it's the turnovers you really got to worry about with the Los Angeles Rams, just like they did today. I mean, it wasn't just today. And ironically, Greg Williams is no longer their defensive coordinator like he was a couple of years ago when Jeff Fisher was still in charge. Isn't that ironic? Because obviously the turnovers and all that. They've really done a great job in the turnover category. Again, they have 10 interceptions on the season, which is tied for 3rd, I guess. I mean, it's officially has them 5th, but then again, they're tied for 3rd total because, Baltimore's got the most, and Vikings didn't have to worry too much about that. The Rams have forced 9 fumbles during the season, but again, a lot more today added up. In fact, right now, actually, they're pretty much tops in the league in forced turnovers at this stage. 19 turnovers forced during the course of the season before even today's game. And then Tom Savage had 4 on his own. So that puts them at 23, which, they're right at the top in the NFL in forced turnovers. So that's what you got to worry about coming in. Luckily, the Vikings play at home. Case Keenum is going against his former club, so he has an idea what's going on over there in Los Angeles. But at the same time, you got a lot of guys to worry about. Obviously, Aaron Donald is one of the best players in the league. I mean, he is just awesome. He's got 4 sacks on the year, but there's more to Aaron Donald than just sacks. The guy just gets the job done, gets the big tackles and all that. And he's forced a couple of fumbles during the season. He helped again today as well. He has just been a stud throughout his career. Vikings wanted him at one point, but of course the Rams reached on him in 2014 and took him. I mean, a lot of us were hoping he'd slip and the Vikings could trade up and get him. A lot of us liked him. We didn't think he'd go as high as he did, but, well, he went as high as he did. And that's kind of what happened during the course of that draft. This team has really put things together in a good way, and it's a little scary. Robert Woods is leading the team in receiving, but 451 yards. It's not the most spectacular number. They really, really spread the ball around with Sammy Watkins, Todd Gurley, Cooper Kupp, and others. Of course, Todd Gurley, the obvious leader in running. And Tavon Austin's still there. That's a guy that's, well, he certainly didn't live up to the hype coming into that draft. And the Rams overreached on him, and that wasn't a good one. Wasn't a good move so far, but Jared Goff, only 4 interceptions on the season. That's awesome. 13 touchdowns. So looking more and more like that franchise quarterback that the Rams were hoping to get a couple times in the past. Man, and they also, and defensively, so many guys have about 4 sacks, 3 sacks, this and that. Nobody's dominant, but it's so many different guys that have been factors. That's what you got to worry about. Matt Longshore and others. Morgan Fox has been a factor. Robert Quinn, that's a name a lot of us have heard time and time again. Connor Barwin, pardon me. So, I mean, you got a threat, definitely, with this Los Angeles defense, and a quarterback that, in Case Keenum, that you hope can get the job done. I mean, you got so many guys with multiple interceptions along the way. Tremaine Johnson with 2, Nick Coleman with 2, LaMarcus Joyner with 2, and, of course, Mark Barron, if I didn't mention. So, yeah, you hope Case Keenum can protect the football. That's obviously a huge key in this game, and that's when you're playing the Rams. I mean, you just hope to pray to God you can protect the football. They force the most turnovers. Their offense is solid. Their defense has just been phenomenal. They don't allow a whole lot of points, and this team just managed to put points on the board with pick sixes as well along the way. That's a huge fear coming in. I'm praying to God the Vikings win this game. I think it helps that we're at home, and I don't know. I mean, our offense has been so impressive this year. That's where the hope comes in that the Vikings can get the job done. It really, I mean, this Rams team is just, it scares me. I don't even know where to go. I mean, I need to get on with this. I'm actually dragging this longer than I would like. So far, the Rams have lost to Washington and Seattle, both lower-scoring games. But gosh, they've scored so many points this year. They had come shootouts along the way. Arizona 33-0. That's funny. The Giants. They played 2 cream puffs. The Giants and Houston. Houston became a cream puff with Watson out. This is a big test for 2 teams here. Both teams are 7-2. Both teams are really good. Both teams have great defenses. I think LA is a slight edge at the quarterback position. I got to think. Obviously, Keenum's having a great year, but he knows the Rams defense a little bit. Oh, Keenum. He needs to play smarter. I mean, you make mistakes like that, like he did against Washington today, I think the Vikings are dead. So it's key. I mean, that's how the Vikings would lose the game, is Keenum just gets flustered and he makes stupid plays. And that's how the Vikings would lose the game. And, the Rams are going to be gunning for that. And they are just doing a great job. That defense in Los Angeles has been freaking awesome. The Vikings' keys to winning the game is just kind of, I don't know. I mean, force Jared Goff into mistakes, stop the run like they've been doing. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, it's like, do you want to force Goff to make a play? I guess. I mean, he's still young. He could still make a mistake down the stretch. But, boy, I mean, this is if the Vikings really want to get home field advantage in the playoffs, they got to win this game. This is a crossroads right here. The Vikings become 8-2 and become an elite team in the NFC and are probably going to get a first round bye. They lose. They're 7-3. The Rams frog them, and of course own the tiebreaker. And it would be a huge step backward. You could see Teddy Bridgewater debut in a game like this, say if Case Keenum is struggling. And I think if Case Keenum's out there making dumb mistakes, I think you put Teddy in there early. I think you put him in there early, like, say, second quarter. If things are kind of getting bad, Teddy Bridgewater will debut and will play. Boy, I'm scared to pick a win here. Boy, oh boy. Right now, if I'm a betting man and I have, no rooting interest in this game, I pick the Rams. I'm picking the Rams. Hopefully I'm jinxing the Rams here, but I got to pick the Rams right now. I mean, their defense forces so many turnovers. Goff doesn't make that many mistakes for as good as he's been, and Gurley's just, he's not spectacular. The reason why the Vikings would win is because of their defense. And, the Vikings offense has been good. I think the Rams are beatable, but boy, they look amazing, don't they? The hope is that they're just too young and not ready. That's the hope, and that they make mistakes. Maybe the Vikings force Gurley into a fumble, this and that, because it's the Vikings defense beating up on a couple of young guys and a bunch of younger guys on that offense. It's the two defenses here. The Vikings defense statistically is a little better in the yardage category, but the Rams defense is better in the turnover category. Boy, protect the football, protect the quarterback. The Vikings win the game. Don't protect the football and make mistakes, stupid mistakes. Rams win the game. Oh, boy. Right now I'm going to pick the Rams. I have to. 27-24, the Rams beat the Minnesota Vikings. They forced a couple turnovers in the game. Whatever it is, maybe a McKinnon fumble, Keenum interception. Teddy Bridgewater in this kind of game, I think, would debut. I think you keep the Vikings in it. Make things very interesting. Maybe he leads the Vikings to a late drive and a victory, but right now, the Los Angeles Rams, they win a medium type scoring game, 27-24. Let's wrap things up and come back, and let's hear from Mad Martin.
Hey, greetings, Joey. Well, we're into the bye week, so not really much to discuss on the purple front. Interesting to see that New England have shifted Garoppolo to San Francisco. Could be a sound move. Always intrigued by what the Patriots get up to. Anyway, London. It was an enjoyable weekend, and I would suggest to any of the purple out there in the Midwest that if there is another game in London with the Vikings, if you can afford it, get over it. It's good. The NFL, to its credit, put on a good day from 9:30 till 6. We were pretty entertained. Not cheap by any means, but equally well worth it. And as we suspected, it was going to be an interesting game. Did feel like a trap. And at half-time, I'm thinking, oh, great, we're going to drop a game here in London. But they turned it around in the second half. Keenum certainly upped his game. The offence got the ball moving. And it turned into an enjoyable afternoon. So all good. And if I had a criticism, it was a stadium venue. The seats, man, are they tiny. We're like sort of crushed up together. But other than that, no, really good. On to the previous podcast. The bit that it did intrigue me was about the fact that, a number of people are saying that NFL games aren't particularly competitive, all their crap. I would say be careful what you wish for on that front. Let's take, say, the English Premier League or perhaps even the Scottish League as prime examples of where you don't have a kind of parity policy. You look at, say, the EPL, for example. You've got 4, maybe 5 teams that are in the hunt for the championship year in, year out. Other than that, the rest of them are also runs looking to secure perhaps a top 5, top 6, top 7 spot, or battling to stay in that division. So, in essence, if you're a fan of one of those also run teams, there's not really a lot to root for other than, oh yeah, we made 6, oh yeah, we got 7th place. It's the same old teams year in, year out that have got all the money and can suck up all the talent and leave the rest of the clubs scrapping around for what's left. For me, it doesn't make it entertaining. I'm not a fan of one of those big 5 clubs, so hey, why follow soccer? I think the NFL and also all the major American sports have got it right. Parity. The worst teams get the best draft picks. Best teams get the lesser draft picks. And this is where it comes down to a front office that can draft talent, can pick up the essential pieces in free agency, and then a coach who can coach those guys up and turn out a winning product. Prime example, look at Cleveland. Year on, year out, drafting top 5, and what have they achieved? Nothing. The Patriots, year on, year in, pretty much making it to the latter stages of the postseason, so they're drafting low, but they find a way to win because of good coaching and a good front office that knows how to find that talent. So be careful what you wish for. Could you imagine if we went to an English Premier League kind of status where the big cities, New York, Chicago, they would have the revenue, they're the big markets, they could sweep in, they could suck up all the talent, and where would that leave the likes of Minnesota and a lot of the other clubs? Basically, we'd be scrapping every year with little chance of probably making even the postseason. So, yeah, it's not perfect, but it's not bad. So anyway, Joe, we move to the bye week so we can all chill and relax and perhaps contemplate the back 8, which are clearly going to show if this is a team that is a legitimate challenger in the postseason. Personally, I think we've got to win 5 out of those 8 games. at the very least. And 5 away games, 3 home games. It's not going to be easy, but Washington is a must-win to maintain momentum on our quest for that elusive Super Bowl. Right, I've said enough. I'm going. Have a good bye week, guys and girls, and Skull. Let's enjoy it in the next 8 games.
And I can't thank you enough for that call, Mad Martin. I mean, you're a superstar. I apologize for not replying to you today on Twitter and all that. I was very busy during the game, and I had to kind of catch up as well on things. So, kind of read between the lines there, but able to see everything and able to do a show today despite the difficult scheduling and this and that. But luckily after this week, things will probably get more simple. Man, that call, I mean, you are absolutely a gold star candidate. I mean, that is just awesome. I mean, so many amazing points there with the parity of the league and everything, and be careful what you wish for. I mean, I couldn't agree more because, well, it's like, yes, there's junk, but then, you don't want to get back to the days of Dallas, San Francisco every bleeping year in the NFC title game, or something like that. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that could happen easily. So, luckily, the Vikings not in that situation at this stage, being stuck, trapped at, like, we're lucky to be 8-8 or something, that type of garbage. So yeah, that's gotta really suck for you in the Premier Leagues over there. I'm sure a lot of that happens in the hockey Euro leagues as well. Just like there's the big bad bully, the big bad. Kind of like the Montreal Canadiens used to be in the National Hockey League and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Nobody could beat them because they pretty much owned the NHL. Everybody was there, the money, the revenue, and every team, every player, like, those teams got basically the first pick all the time. So it was kind of like Toronto and Montreal all the time in the National Hockey League back in the old days. So similar situation there, and that would suck. Let's get on with this, though. Yes, get on with what else Mad Martin had to say. And James Beck, a couple guys there living in that area, the UK and all that, Scotland and Ireland, all that. Very cool. Mad Martin says, could not put it better to myself, but we are seasoned veterans fans at a time. Yep, that's what I was saying. How did I say it? See, because previously we were talking about how, like, he really wanted to get that championship, and I want it so bad too. He says our expectations have risen. Let's hope for once they go beyond our expectations. So I want to be in Minneapolis for my birthday, February 5th, and yeah, gotta go meet Mad Martin if somehow, some way the Vikings do get there and he's here. And again, that's my mom's birthday too. Kind of cool. How did I say it? I said it's high times those expectations were met once and for all. It's time to end the drought. And yep. So, yep, he had a picture there with his buddy there. He says, well, I got him in purple, but he's a Sea Chickens fan to my disgust. Kids these days, like, oh no, that's a bummer. And you put me with PA on the mic. Woo, that's Paul Allen and the Purple Mafia Show in the same tweet. That's an honor. Thank you very much, Mad Martin. I'm not a big fan of Paul Allen, the radio host, but I am a gigantic fan of Paul Allen, the play-by-play announcer. So, yes, his show is okay. I keep up with it, too, because I have to keep up with local sports. So it's one of those. It's kind of a necessity to help keep up with things and such. More of than I love Paul Allen as a radio host, but as an announcer, he's unbelievable. Mad Martin says, love the game program. Gives the basic rules for all those football versions. Time for a chop block. Ruh-roh. That's funny. So, yes, bear with me. There will be probably a little more fan interaction. This might be a little bit longer show, so it's just kind of like into the bye week, out of the bye week. It is what it is. So just letting you know out there, everyone, that is concerned, which I'm sure you're not concerned. I'm sure you're enjoying the show. I hope you are anyway. He says, trust me, I'm not a Sea Chickens fan. Needs a re-education, methinks. That's his friend there. Ooh, yep. He's not happy about the Sea Chickens, that guy being his buddy there being a Sea Chickens fan. Seahawks, but of course, Mr. Richard Sherman will not be available the remainder of the season. James Beck out of the UK, and Mad Martin's out of Northern Scotland. James Beck says, I think that was the first time I've seen the chop block. My wife asked what it was, and I was relieved I could point at the big screen. Ooh, scary, yep. James Beck says, presumably it's not something that happens very often, or I'm just not paying proper attention. Mad Martin says, unless they are done on a Vikings player. I've never seen them. Are the purple contenders? It will be those final 8 games that tell the story about how good the Vikings really are. And yeah, before I continue with Tanae Brown out of New Zealand, I'm going to say this statement too. See, this is why the show's going to be a little longer. Lots of statements, lots of stuff to say, lots of stuff to get off my chest, and others out there too, like Mad Martin getting a lot of off his chest there in the that bye-week recording. People that were saying, oh, the NFC was wide open, no, it's not. No, it's not, because like the worst teams are 6-3 in the playoff picture. The Rams, like I just said, scare the crap out of me. The Saints scare the crap out of me. Yes, the Vikings blew them out, but that was different. And boy, poor Adrian Peterson. Poor Adrian. I feel bad. As bad as this sounds, it's silly. You remember how miserable he looked? And the Saints are going nowhere. That's a franchise. It's the doldrums now. They're back to where they were. And obviously, Drew Brees is old and he's all by himself. Yeah. I mean, look at the Saints now in Arizona. Talk about NFL purgatory. Whew. Poor Adrian. But no, the NFC is not wide open at all. I mean, Philadelphia is still really good. I'm not sure how for real they are, but they're for real right now. I mean, they are. The Rams, well, I mean, need I say more? I talked about them enough. The Saints scare me. Seattle doesn't now. I think they're in trouble with Richard Sherman being out, but they still have Russell Wilson and others. So, Carolina's still kind of sort of dangerous. Atlanta might be emerging. Detroit's annoying. Okay. I think the Redskins, for all intents and purposes, are just about dead. Let's get to Tanae Brown out of New Zealand. He says schedule gets a lot harder. Yep, a lot harder now. I don't think we've beaten anyone that proves much so far. I hope we can make something happen, though. And beating the Redskins on the road after making mistakes like that helps. It helps. It's not a great team, but it helps that we won. And yeah, Cleveland stinks. Baltimore stinks. Green Bay was injured. Chicago stinks. Detroit, well, we lost that one. Tampa Bay stinks. And Pittsburgh, we got creamed. And the Saints, well, they're good, but they weren't good at the time. So the Saints are easily the best team we beat when you compare it to today's standing and everything. That was a very huge win. We never thought how important that win was at the time. But it's extremely important for home field advantage in at least the first 2 rounds, so to speak, to get that first round bye. So, yeah, thank God we did win that game. Wow. Mad Martin says, good question. How would you grade Zimmer? And this is Mr. Mad Martin. B at this present moment in time, especially on the defense. Yes, and I say B also. That's what I was saying on the last show. Mad Martin, yeah. Yep, that was the question. Yep, on the show. Yep, I say B also. Yep, so it looks like we're like mind there. Mad Martin says the joys of bye week and being 3,000 miles from home. My iPad refuses to stream NFL Network. For 3G phones. Yep, and yeah, they refuse to do it. You have to have the, well, in a lot of cases it has to be Verizon. So, luckily I'm a Verizon customer, and I have been since they were AirTouch and all that. But it was AirTouch. AirTouch and a couple other companies merged to form Verizon way back in 2000. I've been a customer since AirTouch was still in business in 1999. That's loyal. If you don't get much more loyal than that. UK Minnesota Vikings says, hope you can get a main event next week, a must-win game to keep up with the Eagles. Absolutely. It's talking to me and Mr. Mad Martin there. And Mad Martin says, the Eagles looking very good. Agree. Next week is a must-win game. Have to maintain pressure. The real test begins Sunday. Hoping to watch the Chiefs play the Cowboys. I've got a soft spot for Kansas City fans. They have become my AFC team after the Bolts moved. Oh, so there you go. So we all have AFC teams. So Mad Martin's is the Chiefs. Gerald String is the Broncos, who I'm looking at right now, and they're playing my AFC team, the Patriots. Yes. It would be the Raiders, but nah, it wouldn't. No, it wouldn't be. If I didn't like the Patriots, it'd probably the Raiders would be the other one, but nah, it's not. It's the Patriots. Damn it. Oh, well, Patriots are winning right now, and they just tackled the kicker, I guess. Yeah. Yep. They blocked the punt. Well, 17-6 right now. Let's keep moving. This is really long. I apologize. Bolts, says UK Minnesota Vikings, got to feel for their fans if they have any left. Loyalty means nothing in the NFL. Me, I will support the Browns. Woo, so that's your AFC team, UK Vikings, Minnesota Vikings. So you like the Browns. Yep. I want to see them succeed. Yeah, I feel bad for them. Yep, it was a block punt. Wow, and fumble recovery, all that crap. Wow. Okay. Whew. Matt Barnes says, back in London next Sunday, 02 for tennis. So we'll have to watch on the go if possible, but probably watch Monday. The Browns should get their first win playing the Packers. Oh, I hope they do. UK Minnesota Vikings says we are talking the Browns. Probably screw that up, but without Rodgers, the Packers are garbage. And yet they still beat Chicago. Yikes. James Beck says I should have tagged a couple of us. He says there may be more. Thank you very much for that. Tanae says, how good is it to see Teddy back practicing? Yes, isn't it wonderful? This was tweeted by Brandon McCauley, and Mr. Tanae Brown sent it to me. Thank you very much. He says, still can't believe the comeback he's made from such a horrific injury. And absolutely awesome, Tanae. So happy. And like I said earlier, Teddy had tears in his eyes after the national anthem. Just to be back, it's for real. He's wearing the uniform again, and man, so cool. Man Martin wraps up the Twitter. This was the Twitter section, which I really didn't even mention. I'll say it right now after this. He says, a great win on the road. Case is doing a fine job, and thank you very much. And yeah, I'm sorry about the lack of interaction this past week. Dave Martin, been insanely busy doing the cleanups, so I'll try to be better. I'm really sorry. I apologize, and you're absolutely getting a star today, not just because of that, but because you deserve it. Absolutely awesome, and thank you very much. Huge win today, and spectacular call-in. This section right now is the Twitter account at Purple Mafia Show, at Purple Mafia Show, and you'll see that in the show description. Let's get to the Facebook page immediately. Facebook.com/Purple Mafia Show. Again, information will be in the show description, as you probably see at the moment, along with the phone line and email address. We'll get back to that at the end here. Going to give a quick shout out to MN Vikings Haven. MN Vikings Haven. Do join that Facebook page if you could as well. Fun Vikings conversation. News during the week, game threads, post-game this, and all kinds of Vikings conversation on there. My friend Trevor Wickerin, kind enough to allow me to post links to Purple Mafia on that page. Thank you again very much for that. And please do join this one. Do like and follow this page if you could. So we'll try to continue where we left off if humanly possible. Okay, here we go. Leaving up on the last show, a little dodgy. That's all I could come up with. This one is capitalized because, capitalized. I mean, the Vikings capitalized in a big way in the capital. Case Keenum was trying to capitalize on his job situation as well, and good on him there. So at least he's trying to, but maybe Teddy will end up taking it. But the Vikings did capitalize for the time being. Gerald String out of Nebraska says, caught the show today and enjoyed it a bunch. I honestly don't care too much anymore what the wins look like. Great wins, ugly wins, or somewhere in between. Just like if you won the Super Bowl and it was an ugly game, you just won the freaking Super Bowl. Oh my God. So yes, he says a W is a W, and no one will care in 8 weeks if you had games, if you should have won but lost, and vice versa. So please do win. Stats don't matter either, just your record. And not sure too many folks had us at a pretty solid 6-2 at the mid-marker. That after losing your starting quarterback for a second year in a row, and your star rookie of the year candidate running back. And the best part is the door is still pretty wide open to end this 50-year curse/drought, whatever you want to call it. Just as well be us this. Yeah, it might as well just be us this time. School, Joey. Thanks for all the time and passion you put into the show, and always enjoy it and appreciate it. Thank you very much, Gerald. That means very much to me. It always does. It always will. I could never take that for granted. Never. That's why regardless if it's busy schedule or easy schedule or medium schedule, I want to come on here because I love being a part of this. I love that you take the time to listen to this show. I love that. It's just an insane honor because, it's like growing up, people would tell me this and that. They make fun of you. They like you. They're not interested in the topic. They're bored with you. You talk too much. This, that. But then It's like, you know what? Screw it. I will reserve my quote unquote talents, knowledge, whatever it is, for people that want to hear it. So why not doing the podcasting? So then I go into the workplace or whatever and don't talk a whole lot unless people want to hear. And then on here, I reserve most of my, going on about the Vikings, the Timberwolves, and I try to keep it professional, not just blah, 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 like an idiot. But I try to keep it professional to a certain level. And there it is. I provide it for people that want to hear it. If you want to hear it, all you got to do is press download and press play. If you don't want to hear it, then don't download it, that type of thing. And there it is. Then you don't have to hear the BS talk or people talking about you behind your back. They pretend to be interested, all that bullcrap. So it's stuff like that. That's what's great about this. It gives you a platform to talk about it without being, I want to have a platform to spew my political venom, which I'm sick and tired of, and I'm not doing that. I could do it, but I'm not doing it. Maybe once in a blue moon, but I try not to keep it venomous. James Beck out of the UK says, great show this week, Joey. Not sure I deserve the silver star. Oh, yes, you did. He said, just for being at the game, but I'll take it. Thanks. And you're welcome. And yep, I'll continue what he said here in a second. No, I mean, your comments have been great for a long time, and your loyalty to the show has been wonderful, James. So I appreciate it, and I wanted to give you a silver star, and it's, and it's just taking the time and putting down the money and all that to go to a game like that probably wasn't cheap. That's a big deal because going to that, it takes a little more effort than say maybe me going to a Timberwolves game. That's easy for me. See, to you, it's a little tougher because it's further away, maybe more expensive, this and that. Going to a Viking game now is kind of hard. It's kind of expensive locally, too, but still more expensive if you have to travel. Maybe James Beck was right there in London. I'm not sure exactly, but I know Matt Martin had to travel a bit. For the Minnesota Viking fans literally from here that traveled there, holy cow. Whew, boy. Huge, crazy fans, boy, to be able to do that. But good on them that they were able to. So let's get back to James Beck. He says, I tried to interact during the match, but I was having a hard time getting connected to the internet. My wife also listened for the first time today and asked, did he just say your name? Why was he saying your name so often? Haha, enjoy the bye week, Skull. Yes, I did say your name. And I did say it often because you were a part of the show and you're in the Vanity Direction segment at a bare minimum. So I hope she doesn't mind that I said your name. I hope that, it's an honor, though. Yep, it's an honor to think that you would consider that in honor on your side that your name was heard. And, yeah, you deserve to be on the show. So let's keep going. Yeah, love you guys. So where was I? That was a Zimmer thing. Let's get to the Teddy Bridgewater activated. Yep, the Vikings were prepared to activate him. There was a few comments in here. Sebastian Barton says, in my opinion, he sits behind Keenum until we either lose multiple games or Case gets injured. Yeah, I was thinking that's probably what they're going to do for now. Trey Buckholz jumps on in and says, I believe he's local, he says Case won't hold the starting job long. He's a career backup and really isn't doing anything great right now. Our defense really has been the driver. I think they let Teddy compete immediately for the starting job. They also need to see a little of him if they're going to sign him, and that being Teddy Bridgewater. Him being Teddy Bridgewater, that is. And that's another thing that drives me nuts. His own radio host just keeps saying he, him. Yeah, so it's like, yeah, that's why I always say him being Teddy Bridgewater. Because, yeah, and I'm not saying Trey. I'm saying, yeah, because I know who Trey means. But, like, say a show host when they do that. Yes, you want to know what you have. Is he truly ready to get back and going again? Today would have been a nice day if the Vikings could have held that damn lead. But, see, Case Keenum looked better than a career backup today until he threw those stupid-ass interceptions. And that's the other thing. See, it's like Case Keenum is starting to look like one of the great backup quarterbacks of all time. I mean, and there have been many really good backups. Frank Reich, I mean, he led the greatest comeback of all time in the NFL and in college. So obviously the guy has a crazy ability to lead a football team, even though he's not a career starter type of thing. Frank Reich, former Buffalo Bills quarterback. And Case Keenum is showing he has special skills, and I kept talking about Case Keenum versus a Christian Ponder, taken 12th overall in the 2011 draft. I mean, it just blows my mind. It just blows my mind that a guy that, lacking in talent, all he could do was run a little bit. I mean, that's it. He had no arm. His accuracy was below average. His IQ was, let's just say it wasn't at the same level of his educational IQ. Not even close. His intellectual IQ. Not even close to his football IQ. What the hell? And then you see Keenum. I mean, his IQ is it's above average slightly. When you see those bullcrap interceptions, that's why I just say above average slightly. But he's got a good arm and this and that, and he loves the game, and he certainly has a competitive edge to him that you don't see all the time. From the likes of even a Sam Bradford. You don't necessarily see the competitive edge. Sam Bradford has the natural skills, though. And once upon a time, before his ACLs in St. Louis, and of course in his college days even, Mr. Sam Bradford was a mobile quarterback once upon a time, if you can believe that. But 2 ACLs will make you a little skittish. So let's get to Mark Carlson out of Iowa. He says, I still can't believe he made a recovery at a level they will allow him to play. Amazing. I am also so excited about the conversation surrounding him and the injury and recovery. For me, as a fan, I expected bad news, but this has been the opposite. Each update bringing surprisingly good news. Unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, just awesome. Roger Inboden says, bring on Teddy. The quicker he shakes off the rust, the better. And yeah, I would love to see him play. I would love to see Mr. Teddy play. There you go. I guess he's an Army veteran. Roger Inboden out of Sterling, Illinois. So Sterling, Illinois, that's a different one. Cool. Welcome aboard, Roger. If it's it might be his first post on here. And I'm going to do this right now. I got to make sure I don't forget. Yesterday was the 11th of November. And for those of you that love this country, we know that the 11th of November is Veterans Day. Mark Carlson is a veteran, among others out there. But Mark Carlson was a veteran of the first Iraq War. Roger Inboden, he was a veteran of the Army, I believe, is a veteran of the Army. But I'm saying Mark Carlson was in the Iraq War, in the first Iraq campaign. And many other veterans. Maybe you're listening right now. I believe Mark Carlson's father, Larry Carlson, is a veteran of the Army, I believe. And I know Anthony Carlson is a current military, he's currently in the military in Philadelphia. That's Antonio Fett on Twitter. I want to give all the veterans dating back pre-1776. I mean, I'm talking way back, kept this country together. And, of course, the ones during the 1776 era, the Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, the Civil War. God bless. The war that had the most American deaths was the Civil War because, anybody that died was an American death because on either side because they were all America. So that's why the Civil War had the most American deaths. Vietnam War, World War I, which was, that was a bad war, boy. And World War II, obviously, lots of drama, lots of history. Amazing aircraft. God, I love the aircraft of World War II. Of course, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, Iraq I, Iraq II, and so many other operations in between for many years. I want to give all of you, I put your life on the line for many years. Some people that were in the wars many years ago either lost their life or they, risked their life. They had injuries. I want to give you a quick moment of silence. God bless the United States and its armed forces. Thank you again very much. And those of you, again, that were active recently, not too long ago, currently active, this and that, God bless you so much, and thank you again. Yep. So I had to make sure, got to mention that. Everson Griffin was named the NFC Defensive Player of the Month as I try to transition. Very, I have no choice but to transition at this point. The Vikings, Mark Carlson says, the Vikings D is finally getting some respect. Congrats to Everson, and I hope this motivates his teammates. And indeed, and of course, Everson not even available today. Bummer, man. Amazing how it's just Everson Griffin, NFC Defensive Player of the Month, and Everson Griffin out today versus Redskins. Yankee, he's in Brooklyn Center. He says, that's a bummer. There goes his sack streak. Matt Eamer says, sucks, man. Way to kill the streak. Matt Eamer out of the UK. And yes, his streak, where he had recorded a sack in the first 8 games of the season, one of each. He was only one of 3 guys since 82. Pretty impressive. Pretty damn impressive. Vikings versus Redskins in game. I'm going to check the visitor post and then come back, see if there's any visitor posts. Yes. A couple. Wow. 2 of them. Jeff Froyland out of... Dang it, I think he's from... I thought he was from Iowa. Let's see. Doggone it. I had it ready. I wish it would just show. But it's not gonna, is it? Nope, it never does right away. And it is Iowa. I thought it was Iowa. I thought Jeff Portland was from Iowa. I apologize. He says Walsh had 3 missed field goals in a row in the first half. It feels good that it's not us anymore. Yep, and that was with the... that was the Seattle and Washington game with last week's... 2 weeks ago, I guess. Yeah, November 5th. Well, that was last week's game. Yeah, pardon me, with the Redskins. That was hilarious. Washington actually beat Seattle. So it was after the last show, but yeah, in between. And I apologize. I didn't even click a like. I apologize, Jeff. That was awesome, though. Love you, Jeff, out of Iowa. One of the greats. Also posts on here often. Walsh, that guy sucks, doesn't he? Brent Jacobson, oh boy, he posts how are the Saints ahead of us? We won head-to-head. Exactly. I was about to complain about that, too. I didn't understand that, and it was showing that today as well. And, well, it got fixed now. I agree, Brent, 100% with that one. I didn't understand that either. I was looking at it, too, and it looks like they corrected it now. Thank God. How stupid is that? Total BS. For some reason, it's like I don't see these during the week sometimes. I don't know if I get the notification, and then it just disappears before I can even respond. Let's sift through the in-game. I want to get going here. Yep, how Cedric is saying, damn, Case just threw it away. Just throw it away rather than put the thing right out there. A lot of people were getting mad. Awesome graphics here. Woo, that one's pretty cool. Whoa, what's up with the skull there, Mr. Cedric Paulding? But yep, active today on the boards. Thank you again very much. Tony Coleman out of South Dakota says, the CBS experts had the Vikings losing 20-17. How about that? And they were very wrong. Brett McCarthy is a drawing of Harrison Smith flexing his big muscle there. It's a drawing of such. Brett McCarthy also, South Dakota, like I said. Tony Coleman and Brett McCarthy says, good teams find a way to win. Just think if Griff was playing. Yeah, imagine that. That would have helped. I'm going to dig a little bit here. Matt Eamer was saying, yep, challenge that play there. Yep. Casey had it on. Yep, there was a lot of excitement. Sebastian was saying, no, E-Griff, here's the key. Washington is the best first quarter team in the NFL. Long drives. And, yep, that's what they've been doing. Mark Carlson was saying, not able to watch today as I am traveling in South Dakota. I can't believe I'm going to miss the game. I have a feeling it's going to be a great game. Skull Mark in South Dakota. Gerald String says, me neither, big guy. No Vikings games on local channels out here. South Dakota, my home state. Travel safe. So he's originally from South Dakota but lives in Nebraska. Patrick Grant says, Vikes win. Nuff said. Cedric Paulding was picking the Vikings to win 23-17. Yankee says, bleeping Trey Waynes as usual. That guy is a love-hate headache, and yes, he is. Bit of back and forth conversation for a short time there. Cedric Paulding was saying our secondary is sloppy today. I swear his forward momentum was stopped. Yep, that was along the way there. And let's jump ahead to the post-game threads here. Interesting stuff. Sebastian Barden says, victory, all I care about. Matt Eamer, and Sebastian is from Mankato. Matt Eamer's from the UK, says it's a W, but made it harder than it needed to be. That's for damn sure. Thanks a lot, Case Keenum. The guy who gave us the lead, helped give us the lead, along with Adam Thielen, and then almost gave it all back. Jacob Ederheim, I believe is how you pronounce it. Ederheim. I was thinking about it wrong earlier. Jacob Ederheim. He is out of Slayton, Minnesota. Interesting. He says, I'm so excited about this team. This was a big win. I'm very confident that we can win against Los Angeles next week if we play even slightly better than we did today. Well, if the offense is hitting on all cylinders, then we will beat the Rams. Just don't turn the damn ball over. That's the thing. It's going to be hard because that's what the Rams do better than anybody right now is they turn the ball over. They force turnovers. They win the takeaway battles. That's how they've beaten that's how they've crushed teams along the way. I mean, they haven't beaten a whole lot of good teams, and this will be a great test for both the Vikings and the Rams. It'll be a jump board for one team and a glass ceiling that you try to break through, but it'll be that steel ceiling for the other. Somebody's going to go get knocked down, whoever loses the game next week, unless there's a tie, which would really be weird. It would throw a monkey wrench on the whole freaking season for both teams. Tony Coleman says, I was pleasantly surprised as I try not to cough to death. My throat's getting dry because it's been a longer episode. He says, I was pleasantly surprised at how many Viking fans were in attendance for our road game. Yeah, it was a lot, man. He says, that was pretty awesome. I love it when all those experts predict a Vikings loss, and they smash those predictions into pieces. Thielen was incredible. Yes, he was. And I'm telling you, those gold gloves, they're markers, man, for the quarterback. Case looked mostly great aside from the interceptions. It was nice to see Teddy suited up again, even if he didn't take any snaps. All in all, this was really quite a fun game to watch, and great points. Tony, star candidate for me there. Brett McCarthy says, good game, could have done without the INTs, but when he had over 300 yards, again, I can live with that. And yeah, I mean, that's why he was still a Fran Tarkenton candidate. It was just the interceptions were the Christian Potter Memorial. It was the interceptions themselves were the Christian Potter Memorials. Gerald String says, can't wait to watch the game tonight. Yep, that's the Broncos. Sounding like an old classic Skins Vikings game. Oh, he's going to rewatch the game. Yep. He says, how we won doesn't matter. Going on the road to a decent team after a bye week and getting the big W is a big deal. Yeah, because last year, remember, the Redskins helped derail the season. They really did. They were part of it. Close loss. It's a big deal. He says, we have a tough game at home next week and three road games in a row. We really needed this one to remain legit. Yep. Looking at the stats on Thielen, I'm thinking he's finally got the NFL's attention. What a story for a walk-on player. Yeah, I mean, think about what Adam Thielen was. He didn't get here by being a top pick in the first round or even a third-round pick or a fourth-round pick. Stephon Diggs was a fifth-round pick, pretty good, but Thielen, much harder to get on the NFL roster than even Stephon Diggs' route, which is, again, he went late, too, probably with injury concerns and all that. Dave Hickey will wrap up this section out. Oh, no, he doesn't. This keeps going, but he's out of Iowa. A couple of comments here. He says, what a great win. It's hard for me to comment too much because the game wasn't on in my area. But from the highlights, it looks like it was an awesome passing display. And yes, it was. The guy's got a good arm, man. Dave continues, says, that really was a special game for Thielen. He always seems to be open. Adam has to get the Fran Award. Yep, and he did. Great job by Case, too. I wasn't able to watch much, just bonus coverage at the end of the game. Mackenzie Alexander had a big breakup at the end. Yep, that was a big. There is a big stretch of tough games coming up. So that was big. Next week is huge. If it matters for playoff positioning, and yes, it does. For the Ponder, I'm guessing officiating because we always get screwed. Win again, and it was great to see Teddy suited up on the sideline, without a doubt. Cedric Paulding out of Mississippi says, great win by the Vikes today, but my blood pressure was up, and yeah, me too. The blood pressure was way up. Scary game. Oh man, what just happened? Okay, good. Mark Carlson. Oh, Mike Fellers, Stu Evans. Interesting one there. I had it loading, and yep. He's also out of Iowa. That's what I thought. Des Moines, Iowa. Cool. I love Iowa. You guys are the greatest. Mike Fellers says, hoping we can continue that next week when I go to the game. Dave Hickey. Yep, so he knows Dave Hickey. Great seats in section 133 on the Viking side. Cool, man. And so maybe Dave brought Mike Fellers over here. Thank you, Dave, if you did. I appreciate that. He says, I was able to watch this week's game as I have NFL Sunday Ticket on Xbox. There you go. It was a great game, although I was getting worried for a minute. And that's the one thing that's good about the modern game systems is they're smart systems. That's the only reason I'd get a game system right now is for smart stuff, and of course to be able to play retro stuff in HD possibly. That's about it. Because like some of the retro stuff comes back out again and it's done really good. Like you can play Pac-Man in HD. Yeah, it's freaking cool. And of course a lot of other modern or older games, but they're like, you bring the file over and it's it's in HD. It's the same game exactly. It's just that video quality's improved. That's all. Or the quality of the video quality's improved. That's basically what it is. I'm a retro gamer. I'm not a modern gamer, but to have the smart capabilities is fantastic. NBA League Pass, NFL Ticket, even YouTube. You can play it on your TV, stuff like that. That's nice. It's nice to be able to watch YouTube on your TV. So let's keep going. Mark Carlson, just about wrapping this up, says, was it the play calling or just opportunity? But I will never complain about the lack of deep throws. Loved it. And yeah, there were some great deep throws indeed. Marty Haggerty says, great game to watch. And yes, it was Marty. I just called him Mark. Gosh, I'm getting everybody mixed up here and I apologize. Marty Haggerty. So let's pass out the awards and call it a day here. I'm going to try to figure out where Marty Haggerty is from again. I believe he's posted before. Gold star for this show is going to go to Mad Martin. Boy, oh boy. Oh, it's always so hard. I want to give a shout out to the Mayor Henrys. Missed you guys. Josh Mayor Henry, Justin Mayor Henry. Missed you guys. This guy's from Marty Haggerty's from Circle, Montana. Interesting. Montana. The Sky State. Cool. Nice to meet you, Marty. I don't know if it's his first post, but I think he's fairly new. Just a shout out to the Mayor Henrys. Miss you guys. Miss Brent Jacobson. Also, he posts sometimes, but not as much lately. I hope I didn't scare him away for some reason. Love you, Brent, if you're listening. Yeah, don't be afraid to call in, Brent. I always loved your calls. I miss you. Gold star, Mad Martin for sure. Gotta give it just awesome overall show. Mark Carlson and Tony Coleman should get silvers. Mark Carlson, the Veterans Day and the great posts, awesome comments as well. Tony Coleman, Mark Carlson are going to get that. James Beck, also great comments. And James Beck and Gerald Spring will both get a bronze star. Great comments back and forth. Love you guys. Really appreciate what you bring. I can always give gold stars to so many people, and I keep saying that. But I just love what you guys brought today. Really appreciate it. I appreciate the interaction, the loyalty to the show. It just means so much. The kind words. It's always greatly appreciated. It's like, you want to give everyone a gold star, but if you do, then it's just like you gave everybody a gold star, and then they're like, well, you gave it to everybody. What the hell, But it's like I want to because I just love you so much. But again, don't take that too seriously in the wrong way. Well, hopefully the next time I do this show, the cleanups will be done, or at a bare minimum, they'll be almost done. We'll have taken a huge chunk out of it. It's been a freaking struggle with the moisture, and then the cold, and then the moisture, and then the cold. I mean, the cold helped dry things up because the dew point was so low, the leaves finally dried up, and then it snowed again. What the hell? And then it starts to melt, but doesn't melt enough completely, and everything's soaking wet, and it's been a hell of a time this year. Last year, we were just about done already. On the 12th of November this year, we're about half done, so yeah, it's a little harder. So yeah, it's been a struggle. I want it to be cold and snowing in December. It doesn't need to be now. Just get through the damn work first, and then it can snow all at once. I'm a big fan of snow. Those of you that aren't, well, nana boo boo. I like snow, damn it, and I hope I hope we have a snowier winter than we've had the last couple of years. Iowa seems to snow a lot there, doesn't it? They get a lot of more precipitation there. That's probably what helps with the farming down there. It's a better climate for it, I suppose. We get rain here like crazy sometimes. Like obviously southern Minnesota, there's a lot of farming there too. It's basically like northern Iowa, basically in southern Minnesota. And of course, I know there's more to Iowa than farms. Obviously, they have cities too, Des Moines and Cedar Rapids and Iowa City and so many others as well. So I loved Iowa when I was there many years ago in the late 80s. Just loved it. So, and I love everybody. You guys from Iowa are just You guys are carrying this show. But so is South Dakota. You're helping so much, too. You guys are just gems. And locally, Minnesota people, step it up, damn it. No, I'm kidding. No. You guys know who you are. Sebastian, Brent, and others. You guys are great. Kurt back, if he's listening as well. Friend from White Bear Lake. Thank you guys so much. Colorado, the Mayor Henrys. Man, you guys are cool. Even got, what was his name just a minute ago from Illinois. Oh, man, I just had it. I'm going to dig it up. Really. Oh, man. Well, there was Marty Haggerty. He was from Montana. How cool is that? I think it was in the in-game thread at the bottom there. Nope, it's not there. Damn it. Where was he? Well, we'll find him. Oh, he was in the Teddy Bridgewater one. Get it right now. That was Roger Inboden. Yep, from Illinois. So cool. Thanks again so much, everybody, for listening. God bless. I better call it a day here. It's a little bit long. Hope it's not too long for some of you that might think I'm not keeping you too long. But, it's what happens when you have a bye week. So you get kind of a lot of things on your chest and lots of interaction as well. So to catch up with. Thanks again. God bless all of you. And we will talk to you next week, hopefully after the most pivotal win of the season to this point.